Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. We are here live after a batch of game twos. The Timberwolves beat the Suns 105 to 93. The Pacers beat the Bucks 125 to 108, and the Mavericks beat the Clippers 96 to 93. Two of the three series are now tied at 1-1. Now heading to game three in the away team's respective home court. How you guys feeling?
I'll tell you what, we watched some okay basketball. I'll say this last game, it seems like that's been the trend. The last game of the night has been the best game of the day. Um, a, a little bit of what I was expecting outside of the Pacers really dominating the Bucks. I'll say I anticipated a Minnesota win, and I didn't think that the Mavericks would go out easy. I will say once I saw Kawhi Leonard was ruled in, I was on the side that the Clippers would go up 2-0, but man, Dallas looked awesome in that fourth quarter on all aspects, offense and defense. But I'll tell you what, it was a solid ball game to watch for sure.
It was good to see Kawhi, I think, as the game went on, got more comfortable. I thought early in the game, first quarter, just looked a little bit off. He hasn't played in, I think it was 9 games in a row, including game 1 that he missed. So I feel like that second half, he looked a little bit more comfortable. He wasn't vintage playoff Kawhi by any means. I'm not sure how many minutes he finished with. I want to say around 30. I know they pulled him about 25 in the third quarter. So I'm sure as the series goes on, he'll get more comfortable. But I think if you're a Clippers fan, you're just happy he got out there, even though he lost tonight.
I feel amazing.
They're saying that this little thing you got going on here with the do-rag, the glasses, and the blanket, one of the comments was like, you're zesty. I'm glad the comments came to your defense about it, but you're just comfortable, man.
No, what it is we all live in Jersey, and in Jersey it's damn near 1 a.m. And we have jobs that we have to get up in the morning to do. So after these shows, I like to lay in bed and go to sleep. So I prepare myself.
If they're calling you zesty for Dewey, I mean,
I think
it's
the blanket
they had the issue with.
Yeah,
the blanket. Honestly, I wish I had one right now. I would actually do anything for a blanket.
What it is,
right
Drew?
now.
My aura is just insane. And
No, it's actually ridiculous how much aura you have. Correct.
I think whether you're straight or homosexual, I think everybody uses a blanket.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I don't think you needed to say that, but yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, you didn't think I needed to specify on it? That's what zesty essentially is, right? That's what zesty is.
No, zesty doesn't mean you're completely homo.
No, but it means that you are doing something that
requires
that. Yes, you are teetering a line.
Here we go. Basketball.
If you're watching right now, you can subscribe to the channel. That helps the channel grow a lot. Please like this video. We're on here at 1 a.m. for you guys, and it's probably going to be uploaded at like 2, 3 a.m. around there on YouTube because we go live on playback first. If you guys want to catch our live, link is in the description. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, we will not be going live because the NBA slate is not that good. You have the Heat, Celtics, and then the Pels and OKC. It's our time to get some rest time. Then Thursday, we'll be back on here live and talk about the playoff games and the NFL draft because that's going to be a huge moment as well. So talking about the first games, Suns and Timberwolves. The Timberwolves beat the Suns.
We might as well start with the one that just happened.
You want to start there, Riff?
Fresh in the mind,
Lex, I appreciate you looking out for all the Mavericks fans that are watching.
Yeah, we can start there for sure.
The Mavericks beat the Clippers 96 to 93. Game 1, just a bad game. The effort on defense wasn't there. They shot in the 20s in terms of percentage on open 3-point shots. And in game 2, they just switched that around. Luka didn't have the best shooting night from the field. He was blitzed essentially the entire game. If the Clippers are going to blitz Luka, now every team's going to blitz Luka, these role players need to hit their shots. PJ Washington knocked down 4 threes. Before this game, he liked the tweet from Nick Young saying that, laughing at people that picked the Mavericks in this series. So I knew PJ Washington was motivated. Drew, was he a needle mover tonight?
He cooked tonight.
Okay.
He cooked tonight.
Needle mover. I think he's a needle mover.
He moved your needle?
Yes, all the time. My needle's always up when it comes to PJ Washington.
Good Lord.
Maxi Kleber hit 2 threes. Kyrie Irving was phenomenal. But I think what won in this game, outside of the role players stepping up, is that their defense held the Clippers to 37% from the field and 27% from 3. the Clippers were missing some open looks, but for the most part, the Mavericks played great defense top to bottom. And in the fourth quarter, they came away with more clutch buckets. Luka Doncic handed dagger. Kleba hit a late dagger. I mean, this team was ready to play. In the end, there it was looking scary because Luka almost threw a pass that looked like it may have been a turnover. Kyrie Irving fouled Kawhi that Jason Kidd challenged, and it wasn't called the foul. So not the sweetest end to the fourth, but the Mavericks are going back to Dallas tied 1-1.
The one thing I'll say about that fourth quarter offense for the Clippers was it's more so, let me not talk about their offense. Let's talk about the Mavericks defense. And I feel like we have to start with Luka Doncic on that side. I feel like I heard you talking about it a little bit before we got started, Joel, and you're 100% right. They were looking to double, and Luka kind of said, hey, don't do that. I don't fuck up our defense because of me and my deficiencies that I've shown. There were no deficiencies from him on the defensive side in this fourth quarter, whether it was Kawhi, whether it was James Harden. He definitely held his own multiple times, making the offensive player be uncomfortable, mostly against Kawhi Leonard. I felt as if when he was guarding Kawhi Leonard, that's where I felt like Kawhi was either forcing shots or was forced out to pass the ball. Luka Doncic played some awesome defense tonight. And then down the stretch of this game, you saw the Mavericks hit big shot after big shot, whether it was Luka, whether it was Kyrie in the mid-range, whether it was PJ Washington. I mean, the guys stepped up. Maxi Kleba honestly hit one of the bigger threes where you see the Clippers making their run. I believe it was a 3-point game at that point in time. And then Luka kicks out, Kleba clutches up, knocks down a huge shot. But got to give credit to the Mavericks tonight on the defensive side in the fourth quarter. They definitely held their own. The Clippers definitely didn't shoot the ball the way that obviously that they shot in game one. Kawhi definitely looked like there was some rust to be shook off. But if you're the Mavericks stealing one on the Clippers home court, that's enormous, especially after the way that you got worked in game one. But again, credit where credit is due. I give a lot of slack to Luka Doncic's defense, and there's nothing for me to say tonight, not even a little bit, in the biggest moments. On top of the offense that you're already anticipating, the defense, which is usually lackluster, he did his thing tonight for sure.
I definitely think in the fourth quarter, schematically, what Ty Lue was putting out there was also helping the Mavericks defense, having lineups with Westbrook, with Zubac, that kind of leaves to where you can keep a guy on the right or on the left that's helping on the driving lanes with Paul George and Kawhi. And all Luka has to do is just stay front, stay close, not get beat. The effort has to be there. So I definitely think that helped. My whole thing coming into this game was how the Dallas Mavericks were going to respond defensively. I never had an issue with their offense. The shots are going to eventually fall. Luka and Kyrie are going to beat Kyrie and Luka, but defensively, what are they going to look like? And you saw it. They were sending two at the ball at times. They were putting a lot more pressure. They wouldn't let anybody beat them. They were battling on the glass. They wasn't letting Zubac get down in the paint. They played great defense this game, and I think that was the turning point. And I think on the Clippers side, honestly, if you're a Clippers fan, this is Kawhi's first game back in about 3 weeks. He didn't do any contact before the game. This was his first contact in 3 weeks. I don't think he struggled with Luka at all. I just think he was trying to find a shot throughout the game just to get ready for the next game. I had no issue with him trying to look for a shot. Like you're talking about a guy who hasn't played basketball in 3 weeks, did no contact prior to the game, and was just getting warm-up shots. Of course, he's going to come into the game. You saw the first half, a little rusty. Second half kind of got it going late. But I do think you got to give credit to the Mavericks defense for the other guys like PG, Harden, Norman Powell, Westbrook. I think Ty Lue's got something in the bag waiting for games 3 and 4. But shout out to the Dallas Mavericks defense. But I think, honestly, in my opinion, looking at this Clippers game, if Kawhi just plays a little bit better, they win this game, and I expect him to play better. So I'm really not worried at all about the way this series is going. I feel comfortable 1-1 going into Dallas. As long as Kawhi is fully ready to go Friday, he's a little bit more healthy, I'm pretty good with the results.
Yeah, and it was it wasn't just Kawhi Leonard who struggled. You have James Harden, who had the fantastic game one, only 6 for 14 in this game. Paul George, who was efficient, but only 14 shots. When you realize that Kawhi doesn't really have it going, I would like to see Paul George get a little bit more involved there. Like I mentioned, only 14 shots, tied for the second most on the team, just behind Kawhi Leonard and tied with James Harden. This was the first time all season long that the Dallas Mavericks scored less than 100 points and won a game. So the first time I think he scored less than 107 and won a game. It just goes to show we've seen this a lot in the playoffs so far through this first, game twos or whatever, that it's been a lot of low scoring games. We could see the referees are swallowing their whistle a ton. I thought there was multiple calls that were left on the floor in this game. One specifically on Paul George late in the game, that there was a lot of contact, and these refs just have been swallowing their whistle. And we were anticipating that for the playoffs, but it's good to see that they're staying at least consistent for the most part. I know there was some Suns fans who didn't feel that same way. Once we get to that game, we could talk there. But yeah, I mean, if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, this is probably the dream scenario. You go into LA. It's unrealistic to take 2 games, but you split the series 1-1, and the game you end up winning is the game with Kawhi. I mentioned in this after game 1 that your mindset changes once you're the Dallas Mavericks and Kawhi Leonard is out. You probably feel a bit better about yourself. You feel going into that game that they're missing their best player. On top of that, Dallas was one of the hottest teams to end the season. So you have kind of this built-in confidence that maybe you don't deserve because it's 0-0. Everyone's record is 0-0. And now they're missing their best player. And you could see, even though Kawhi's inserted, and we know Kawhi Leonard, any given series, could be the best player in that series. Of course, the best player on the Clippers. Even though he's inserted, the Dallas Mavericks defense looked even better. And of course, some of their shots started falling, specifically from PJ Washington. But overall, to split the series 1-1 in LA, going back to Dallas where that home crowd's going to be rocking. I believe they play on Friday. I think that's perfect case scenario.
There's a reason why this Mavericks team, in the last 15 games of the season, was number 1 in defensive rating. Post All-Star break was 11th in defensive rating. When they show effort, they are a great defensive team, and they give up shooting because of their defenders. Derrick Jones Jr. is an elite defender. PJ Washington, ever since he got to Dallas, has been a great defender. They don't shoot the best. What I like from DJJ is that he attacked closeouts. He wasn't settling for threes. He was attacking the basket. He had 10.7 rebounds. What he was doing is he's playing elite defense. He's driving the basketball, and he's rebounding the ball. If he doesn't feel comfortable in that shot, he doesn't have to take it, because I feel like in game 1, he settled a bit too much. PJ Washington, I feel like he's always been capable of shooting the ball great. He has these games where he shoots it very well and then goes back down to earth. I think he can shoot better. Daniel Gafford went out with an injury in this game. Derek Lively. These are the first 2 playoff games, and I think he's handled the physicality of the series pretty well. I don't think Luka's a bad defender, especially this year. He's been a very good defender. I just think it's gotten flown under the radar. He doesn't have to guard the best player on the opposing team. He just has to play great in a team environment. But Kyrie Irving's defense was also phenomenal tonight. And I understand what you're saying, Riv, about the Clippers not shooting well. The Mavericks shot historically bad in game 1, especially in the first half. And in this game, Luka didn't shoot the ball very well, and neither did Kyrie Irving. They hit timely baskets and played well when it mattered. There were only 4 Mavericks that hit a 3-point shot. That was Luka, Kyrie, Gafford, and Maxi Kleber. Josh Green missed his attempts. Tim Hardaway Jr. went out with injury. This series is going to be decided with 3-point variance. And the Mavericks have a very high ceiling because they're going to get a lot of 3-point shots, open 3-point shots, because Luka is going to draw doubles and blitzes. So the role players have to hit their shots. As for the Clippers, it's the same thing for them. Russell Westbrook, for as great as he is in spurts defensively, he was all over the floor tonight. He drove the basketball well. There will be moments where he gets a bad turnover. He's a little bit overzealous. He's left wide open from 3, and you're daring him to take that shot. So it's really about these role players hitting their shots, and on both sides, I feel like there are exploits, and it's going to be about who can knock them down.
I think it comes down to 3-point variance definitely matters. I also think clutch time buckets are going to be huge. Dallas, at the end of the regular season, I believe, had the most clutch wins, or number 1 in terms of win percentage in the clutch. Let me see. I have it here. Second, or okay, I lost it. Regardless, they were one of the best clutch teams in the NBA. The Clippers, the Clippers were around 10th, I want to say. So they were still a really good clutch team. But when you have Luka and you have Kyrie, and you see some of the daggers that Luka hit, some of the threes just in general in the fourth quarter, the one over Zubac, where Zubac closes out really well. There's really no way that Luka could damn near even see the basket and he's able to get it in. There's times where you could just play perfect defense on a guy. But when you're that gifted offensively, those baskets can still go in. So 3-point variance is going to play a big factor. But I just trust Dallas more in the clutch too. I think it's unfair to probably point at this game because Kawhi wasn't 100%, and he'll be, of course, number one option when it comes down to those closing minutes. But Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving in the fourth quarter, 2 or 3 minutes left, that's probably one of the, outside of Jokic and Jamal Murray, that's one of the top duos I trust.
I don't have the exact wins, but in the clutch, the Mavericks are first in offensive rating. Their defensive rating is 9th, and their net rating is 3rd in the clutch.
They had they were number 2 in win percentage in the clutch, just behind the Lakers.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe that that's true watching this series versus the Nuggets. But just something calm, not even talking about the game too much. Luka Doncic's jump shot. It's pretty. The guy barely jumps off the ground, and that ball barely touches rim every time. That jump shot, he's really worked on it, and it's proven so far, not just in the regular season, but so far and early on in the postseason too. But I'm anticipating a better offensive performance from the Clippers for sure. Harden shooting 2 for 10. I guess it is. Game 1 Harden is a real thing. Game 2, I mean, that it is what it is there. But I'm anticipating Paul George. No, I thought he played well too. Just 2 for 10 from 3 is tough. You got to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of driving, getting to the rack. I know that's not Harden's game anymore, but also Paul George. I want to see him be more assertive in the game. 14 shot attempts, especially when like Joe mentioned, efficient. But you need to be more asking for more aggressive. Ask for the ball. Understand that you right now are the healthiest, most reliable offensive bucket getter for your team while Kawhi Leonard is still shaking off his rust. Well, Kawhi in his own right. Riv, I hear what you were saying that you didn't think that Luka played great defense on him and like just kind of Kawhi was shaking off rust. The two can coexist where I feel like, yes, the rust was there for Kawhi, but at the same time, I saw Luka Doncic standing right in front of him, forcing Kawhi into bad shot decisions. But so I do anticipate that to get cleaned up.
I mean, those are the shots Kawhi takes. So I don't I don't know. Those are
shots he takes, but they were highly contested. Like he does take those mid-range consistently, and yes, his efficiency is
short on a lot of the shots today. I felt like he was short on most of them.
For sure.
I just feel as if when you are bringing back a player like Kawhi into the lineup and game 1, you have such a great game. Harden is a rhythm player and he loves to dominate the ball. And when you have Kawhi, those looks, you have to give the ball to Kawhi. He's going to demand the ball. So I think it kind of just got everybody out of their initial rhythm. And you have to hope that Kawhi just gets his legs under him because that's what it looked like. His legs, he's just adjusting to coming back. And you don't know how long that could take. It could take a game. It could take 2. It could take 3. You don't know.
You got 3 days, baby.
The Harden jersey behind you is kind of crazy.
This is Houston Harden, by the way.
Okay,
I had it last.
Abs guy.
I had it last pod. You didn't say a thing.
Oh,
didn't notice
it. I saw it.
Yeah, it's just been there because the Luka Doncic one is hung up on the studio. On our backdrop when we do the podcast in the studio. The Timberwolves beat the Suns 105-93. First half, some really positive signs from the Suns. I like how they adjusted to guarding Cat. KD started to front him. They weren't allowing easy touches to him and entry passes and then just drawing doubles and creating advantages early. They loaded up on Anthony Edwards when Cat got into early foul trouble. I'm going to say this about the officiating. I think the officiating is just too inconsistent when it comes to this series. The Timberwolves are a far more physical team than Phoenix. And because of that, and because they're much bigger, Phoenix gets away with a lot. Cat, to me, should have never been in foul trouble early. I don't think that he was really fouling. It was probably one where I thought it was, legit. And I think the same thing happened in game 1. With Phoenix and their offense, I thought it looked much more cohesive in the first half, where on these pick and rolls where Gobert would come up on the screen, they would run Spain pick and roll actions behind it, and it would kind of get them off guard a little bit, and they were getting pretty good shots. But in the second half, I feel like the Suns' ball movement was non-existent. They played completely different than in the first half, and in the second half, it was a lot of matchup hunting. But you cannot matchup hunt a team like Minnesota, who every defender that they have is a great defender. It's just not going to work. There's too many times where Bradley Beal, KD, Devin Booker, they're trying to go isolation on Rudy Gobert, and I just don't think that makes for good offense. The Grayson Allen injury that happened, of course, it's going to bother their shooting, but ultimately, the Suns have to move the ball more. They can't play isolation basketball. And I thought that the number that dictated the game for the most part is that the Wolves had 31 points off of 20 Suns turnovers, and the Suns only had 2 points off of 14 Wolves turnovers. With the Suns heading into game 3 in Phoenix, you can't turn the ball over, and your transition defense has to be much better. I think they did a great job adjusting from game 1 to game 2 and rebounding. In game 1, they were dominated on the glass. In game 2, they won the rebounding battle. So those are some positive signs for them heading into game 3. But the Timberwolves just completely out-physicaled them, and they just were making things happen off of turnovers. And Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards, bad shooter night. Cat, bad shooter night. Jaden McDaniels, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Suns players are shooting 28.6% when he's guarding any Suns player. Jaden McDaniels so far, game 1, he was taking over with his defense. And in game 2, he was the best offensive player in those minutes without Ant and Cat. Conley, Jaden, and Gobert took the load, and they carried the offense, and they were phenomenal.
Speak on KD.
Oh, KD struggled. He wasn't good. Neither was Devin Booker.
Speak on Devin Booker.
No, he wasn't good. Listen, neither of the big three were good. In game 1, it was great that KD at least was going. The biggest disappointment with this team right now is Devin Booker. Devin Booker has to take control. For as cocky as Devin Booker is as a player, if you watch JJ Redick's podcast, he makes some comments about how he's guarded different because he's one of those ones. So far in these playoffs, he's not looking like one of those ones. JJ Redick asked him about defenders that are great, and Devin Booker wasn't willing to give props to anybody, didn't want to give anybody any ammunition or praise before the playoffs. For him to stink it up in his first 2 games, and it's not just the efficiency, because I know game 2 is more efficient than game 1. It's the Suns are not able to beat anybody on the Wolves off the dribble. That's why they need to move the ball. And that's why they're not going to beat the Wolves playing isolation. They have to change how they're playing offensive basketball. In the first half, they made strides to doing so, but they need to do it for an entirety of 4 quarters. And it's a concern right now. But Devin Booker, he's the first guy I'm looking at, and he needs to play better. He needs to play better. How he's playing is unacceptable.
Drew, hold on. Hold on, Drew. The Suns, man. It's like
beautiful.
It's just
you got the colors on.
No, it's I don't, but okay.
You do. You got a purple do-rag.
It's not the same purple at all. I have a red shirt.
Similar purple, low key.
Yeah. Anyways, the Suns, first of all, shout out to Minnesota. Their defense has been incredible just in terms of one-on-one coverage. Rudy in the backline defense. As a team defense, they've been great. Talking to each other in the pick and roll, communicating. Rudy and switches. I mean, Rudy has been their most important player so far in these 2 games, just on what he can provide on the defensive end, what he provides as a rebounder in switches. He's able to guard Beal, Booker, and Kevin Durant at times. It's truly what he's doing is like insane. Like I don't know how he can do it. And like he is showing you his defensive worth. And then with him in the back line, you can just see Ant being more aggressive, Jaden being more aggressive, Alexander Walker being more aggressive. And, it's the playoffs, allowing them to be more aggressive, allowing them to take more chances. It's causing uncomfortability between those 3 guys. I think these 3 guys, and Dell said this, I want to say a couple months ago, like they have the same game. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, they all have kind of the same game. There's no real they don't really complement each other, and there's no real point guard, no real guy that can slow the pace, that can create some havoc. Like they're all not too athletic. They beat you off skill, footwork, a little bit of handles, but it's really tough to kind of move these type of defenders in Jaden. When you have Jaden, 6'11", long arms, just as fast as you, quick IQ guarding Devin Booker, what is he going to do? I don't even know who's guarding Bradley Beal. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but whoever's doing it is locking him up. I believe it's Ant-Man. It's a combination of Ant-Man and Walker. Damn, sometimes even Conley. And then Kevin Durant, he first game he played well, but the second game didn't really play that good. I don't think they can stop the turnovers because I think Minnesota's defense is causing so much havoc that it's hard for Phoenix to settle down and really have a function. They don't have a legit offense. It's just a bunch of ISO, pick and roll, find the mismatch. There's no real offensive play calling in this system, and they don't have a point guard. So, we thought on the opposite end, this is a bad matchup for Minnesota, but it's looking like so far this is an awful matchup for Phoenix. I mean, they just can't get nothing going consistently on offense. And then defensively, I mean, Minnesota's offense hasn't looked great. It's done it in spurts, but it's not the best. But the way they do it is like Joel mentioned. They get a lot of turnovers. They run in transition. They attack the boards. And at times they can hit threes at a high volume. They have Mike Conley. They have Nico Alexander-Walker. Like, they just have their role players playing well. And when you have Eric Gordon being the best player on your team for a game, that's just not ideal for a winning circumstance. I mean, Phoenix isn't getting any help from their other guys. There's really nobody else stepping up. And then your big three is just fumbling the bag. So, going back to Phoenix, Kevin Durant talked about it's not over. I don't believe it's over. I think you have an opportunity to go home to win 2. I just find it really hard for you to look for a formula unless you just start hitting at an insane rate like the Clippers did in game 1, which I don't see Minnesota's defense like fully collapsing. I just really find it hard for this team to find the wiggle room to get a W.
For a game, I think it's possible. For a game, I can anticipate the big three going off and being able to snatch a win.
Say the big 2, please.
Understand. And I don't disagree.
Kevin Booker's
although I will,
are
we saying big 2? Are we saying Beal and KD?
I don't think Beal's gonna go off. I'll be honest.
But Beal has been playing well, actually. It's been cool. Booker that's been lacking.
He's
behind.
Out there, Yeah.
But Joel, let me say this. You say that they need to change up the way that they play offense, that they need to start moving the ball. Correct me if I'm wrong. Have we not been saying this all season? Have we not been saying this legitimately all season about the Suns? And this isn't me coming at you. Not at all. Don't take it like that. All I'm saying is this who the Phoenix Suns have been, and we've been asking them. You need a true playmaker. You've asked for TJ McConnell to come play the point guard for the Phoenix Suns all season. And you see LeBron, you see JJ giving flowers to TJ. Hey, at least you're on the right side of history, but understanding that this team does not have a true playmaking point guard. And although they've tried to transition Devin Booker into that, he simply is not. And Riv was foul on the last podcast talking about how there's 30 playmakers better than Devin Booker.
Change it to 40.
Shit, man. After this series, that conversation could be legitimate. All jokes aside, I look at this Phoenix Suns team and I struggle to see how they can just out of nowhere suddenly now we're going back to Phoenix. We're going to play a completely different brand of basketball that we haven't played all season long. And that's going to be us moving the ball and really trying to find the open guy, when in reality, they have not done that all year. And they don't have anybody that can really slow down the offense and get that going. So I really do struggle to see how Phoenix has an answer for this Minnesota defense that has been number one all season long. And I would be damned if I did not give respect to Jaden McDaniels. After last time we were up here, I was talking about how his offensive game is lackluster. It's definitely been inconsistent, but there's nothing that I can say after today. Well, there's nothing I could say for today's game. He was nothing short of fantastic, and one of the big reasons why Minnesota's celebrating a dub right now.
If you're a Phoenix Suns fan, first of all, I'm sorry, because it looks like your season's going to be cut short after making this Bradley Beal trade and paying the biggest, tax of all time and all of this stuff that's going on trading for KD. But very similar to how last night between the Lakers and Nuggets, how if you're a Lakers fan, you kind of had everything go your way in terms of some of the Nuggets guys were off. Jamal Murray didn't play well for 3 quarters. You had some of your guys play well. D'Lo hitting threes. Now, for the Phoenix Suns, it wasn't like they had a bunch of guys out there putting up 30. But on the opposite side for Minnesota, you have an Ant Edwards, at least shooting, did not play well. After game 1, he was talking all of that junk to Kevin Durant. There was memes going crazy on him on social media. In game 2, he follows it up and was super inefficient. You have Karl-Anthony Towns, who struggles to shoot the ball. The best offensive players for Minnesota don't show up, right? Towns only takes 7 shots. He's in foul trouble for majority of this game. Anthony Edwards, like I mentioned, goes 3 for 12. Even Naz Reid goes 1 for 5. So if you're a Phoenix Suns fan, I think you could talk yourself after game 1, be like, listen, Ant Edwards went crazy, but if he just has a decent game and he doesn't, drop that 30 plus on great efficiency, we have a chance. Well, you had that happen, and it's really only 1 quarter of Phoenix Suns basketball in this game 2 that you could look at as a positive, and that's that second quarter where they scored 30 points. They only had 3 turnovers in that second quarter. Outside of that, they get held to 21 points in the first, 20 points in the third, 22 points in the fourth. And that fourth quarter, I know it was only a 5-point difference, but it felt like a 15-point difference the way that felt like Minnesota really took control with their physicality. I think they said it from the get-go in the first quarter. They went on a quick 8-0 run or something, and Phoenix eventually comes back. But throughout this entirety of the game, it just felt like Minnesota was always in control. Even it was 51-50 at halftime. They always felt like the more physical team. And down the stretch, especially in that second half in the fourth quarter, it ended up being, a multi or a double-digit win. They put in the bench warmers at the end of the game. I also have a difficult time thinking they're going to go back to Phoenix and tie the series up. When you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, you always have a chance to win at least one game. But I think Rev made an excellent point. All I saw since this matchup was set was how terrible of a matchup this was for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I think the number one issue everyone had, and I even mentioned it too when we were doing our preview, was Rudy Gobert is not going to be the same rim protector in this series because the Phoenix Suns take so many mid-range jump shots and they don't attack the basket nearly as much as everyone else in the NBA. They're among the lowest in the league. But Rudy Gobert has been able to switch on the perimeter and do a fantastic job against some of the best pull-up shooters in the NBA. So he's changed his superpower from being an elite rim protector, which he still is, but now he's able to switch on to these guys and play elite defense. And kind of that knock on him, I think that's been on him from years, especially when you go back to Utah. It's kind of falling off now. No, Rudy Gobert, if you try to put him in a pick and roll action, if you're trying to give him a switch on the perimeter, he's going to be able to hold his own. And if he's doing this against Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you can only imagine what his confidence level is going to be feeling like throughout the rest of the series. So while it did bang, while this was a bad matchup for the Minnesota Timberwolves in terms of the firepower the Suns had, you can make the same argument for the Phoenix Suns. They have the length, they have the defenders. Every shot is going to be contested. It's very difficult to get clean looks at the basket or clean looks from the mid-range or three-point when you have Anthony Edwards on you, Nickeil Alexander-Walker on you, Jaden McDaniels on you, Rudy Gobert switching down the perimeter. I mean, their game is predicated on hitting these tough mid-range jumpers, and you have some of the best defenders in the NBA guarding you for 40-plus minutes tonight. I mean, the big three on the Suns all played 40-plus minutes in this game, and there was really no consistent offense outside of that second quarter. So I'm anticipating Phoenix to get one once they go back home to Phoenix, but I thought this is going to be a really competitive series, but I think Minnesota could get done in 5 or 6 games.
You know what's crazy? I did some sneaky stuff. Y'all ain't even peeping the tweet. Everybody name in caps except Book.
It's funny, bro.
Ant is not in all caps.
Not his first
but
name.
he has the capital
letter.
A. He gets the capital A.
Just peep. You ain't even peep. I did that.
Drew, you mentioned about the lack of a point guard. I mean, they needed a point guard all season long. That's evident.
Yes.
But the lack of passing has not been an issue all season long because in segments they have shown the willingness to move the ball around. For the entire this season, they've ranked 20th in passes made. In the last 15 games, when Bradley Beal decided to play point guard and take that sacrifice upon himself, they rank 7th in passes made per game. In this series thus far, I don't think Bradley Beal has done enough to try to generate offense for others. I feel like he's shot hunting a lot this series. There's too many moments where he is trying Rudy Gobert one-on-one. I think if you maybe I could be miscounting, but just in my memory, in my head, I feel like Bradley Beal has taken Rudy Gobert one-on-one more than KD and Devin Booker have this entire series.
He's probably pressured the rim the most out of all three of them.
Yes, with your third guy having to be the one to sacrifice.
Bradley Beal, I want one of them to be pressuring the rim.
But he's not looking to pass. He's just pressuring the
rim.
That's
fair. That's fair. That's his role. I understand what you're saying, but I need Booker. I need KD putting pressure on the rim. If you're not going to do that,
Book can't get past half court.
He can't. Nah, they're boxed. They are.
The thing with Kevin Durant and Steve Book, they haven't ever been elite pressure.
Agreed.
People that put pressure on the rim. And Kevin Durant's first step at this point is just not there. He can't get by people consistently that are faster than him. Bradley Beal was the one to sacrifice in the back half of the season, towards the end of the season. That's why the Suns started winning more games. And I feel like in the playoffs, his mentality has kind of shifted from being a passer to now he wants to score more. He wants to, showcase himself. And I think it's because in the regular season, he's had some success against Minnesota as a scorer. But it's going to be him that's going to have to sacrifice and be more of a playmaker for the team. And at home, role players should play better. So you're probably hoping that you get some boost from them. But Devin Booker, he has to play like Devin Booker. I mean, KD and D-Book, they have to be averaging 28 plus every game and together, not just one of them, both of them, for them to have a chance. For Minnesota, I mean, it's a bright side. It's a bright spot that Anthony Edwards and Cat didn't get going shooting the ball and they won this convincingly. They have went on runs in game one and third quarter, now in game two and the fourth quarter, where they have just upped their physicality and really made things uneasy for Phoenix. So this was definitely an encouraging win for Minnesota. And Jaden McDaniels, by the way, he has the talent to be this type of offensive player. I'm just going to put that out there.
It's just inconsistent.
He has plus handle for his size. He moves well for his size, and he's able to get to his spots in the mid-range efficiently. Whether he makes it or not, that's a different story. But he is able to get to his spots. And with his role constantly fluctuating in Minnesota, there's not like a real avenue for him to just be like, okay, you're going to be the guy that's going to have to initiate this offense. But, I think that he's fine and he has a talent too. It's just about putting it together and the confidence, really.
The thing you said about Beal was pretty important, because I think also what's been getting to him is the back and forth with him and Ant-Man. If you notice that they've been going back and forth, the egos are starting to get to him. Ant-Man's talking his shit. Bradley Beal's trying to talk his shit back. So he's trying to get his on the end. And it's just the pecking order isn't the same. Like Ant's the guy on his team. You're the third guy at times, sometimes the fourth. So it's not the same. You're not going to get, so the ego is definitely getting to him. Another thing is Grayson Allen possibly dealing with a little ankle injury, their best spot up shooter. So that's something huge. That's something big. That's one of their 5-6 best players. So for him to be hurt, him not being able to find his shot, that's pretty tough for them. Listen, if Phoenix pulls this out the mud, like you mentioned, Joel, it's going to take a Herculean performance from Mr. Kevin Durant and Mr. Devin Booker. So God bless them, and I hope I want to see it happen. I really do. I'm genuinely curious. I want to see. This is the first time Devin Booker has played a healthy team in a while, so I would like to see him go out there and do his thing. So I'm excited.
Joel, did you take Devin Booker over Tatum to start the season?
Yes.
Okay.
That's true. How many points did Devin Booker score in game one?
I don't even 10.
It was ugly.
He scored 20.
Really?
No, my bad. Game two. Two. Did you know that Tatum scored 19? Well, no. What did he score? 21 or 22?
His age? He scored his age
against the Heat.
Something like that.
Did you know that Tatum was the only player in the negative in the Celtics plus minus in game one against the Heat?
It is truly the funniest screenshot.
Plus minus. When are we going to stop caring about that stuff?
Nah, Drew, if you see it, it's so fun. It's like,
I saw.
Tatum's like the minus
only
3.
one, minus like, 1, right? That's what he was, minus 1.
It just never goes well for him.
I think the Celtics as a roster can sustain stinkers from Tatum.
Like
every series and still make the finals.
Oh shit!
Like Ant-Man today?
Shit.
Like Ant-Man today?
Shooting nice stinkers, but you're getting at the playmaking. I know you saw the playmaking.
Tatum had 10 assists in game one.
Tatum. Yo, they forget about game one.
Assists.
Tatum in the finals.
Brother, you gotta watch that game.
They're inflated.
Let's get on to the real fake assist guy. Come on.
They're
let's do it.
inflated.
Yo,
Fake assist.
Riv. Remember when they were telling me that Pascal Siakam was a negative to this team? Remember?
He's carrying.
Score above 10 challenge.
He's the best player on the fucking Pacers. He
Riv, you
wipes
remember
that fraud.
when somebody said that Dame could surpass Steph after this season?
Who said that? Who said that?
Second half Dame? I don't know. First half Dame and second half Dame are two different players. First half Dame could have done it.
The Pacers beat the Bucks 125-108. Pascal 37-11-6. Tyrese Halliburton 12-12. Double, baby. We here. That's Steve Nash's career averages.
This is what we're doing. My God.
So
they won. Hey, Riv. Credit where credit is due. They won.
Drew, it boggles my fucking mind that in October and November, these dudes
NBA
acting like they acting like they seen Jesus, like they acting like they seen somebody. And Dells was a part of it too, and that's what pissed me off. Because Dells, he's smarter than that, and the fact that he got caught in the loop
I don't
was,
remember. I could have said some shit.
He's a superstar. He's doing this, that, and the third.
He was tweaking, Riv. He was tweaking.
And
now we put him above Steph.
We looking at him.
Do anything crazy.
And he can't even get past 15 points. He's struggling.
Nobody put him above Steph. The conversation was who's playing better right now. Let's just specify that.
Now.
Let's specify that. Who was playing better at the moment? It was Halliburton, bro. You
we
can't even argue that.
Would you rather from November?
Halliburton, it was a 3-month stretch, by the way, where he looked stellar.
There's not even games in October for real. So don't count October.
It's like a week. Yeah, it is like a week.
So 2 months and then whatever. It was a pretty it was like 30 games.
We get like a quarter. We get like Christmas. We get like a week off.
Well, listen, Pascal Siakam, this is the series for him. They don't. The Bucks don't. As long as Giannis is not out there, they don't have an answer for Pascal Siakam. So this is the series for him. In game 1, he played really well as well. In game 1, Indiana shot poorly from 3, and they got a ton of open looks. And in game 2, they shot 44% from 3. That's probably going to go down, but the Bucks giving up open 3-point looks, that's just kind of what they do on defense. So the Pacers could make this a very competitive series if the role players are knocking shots down. And I'm kind of left wondering when Giannis is going to come back. It seems like the Pacers have figured out Dame in the second half. Rick Carlisle shrunk down his rotation this game.
Thank God.
It's 8 real players playing in this series. TJ, OB, Ben Shepherd, Nembhard, Hadley, Turner, Nesmith, and Pascal. So Carlisle shrunk down his rotation quite a bit. That's how the Pacers got to win this game. The Bucks are susceptible on defense. They got to hit their 3-point shots. As simple as that.
Man, I mean, the Pacers did handle business today, and that's huge, especially on Milwaukee's home court. But I'm with you, Joel. I'm looking for Giannis to get into this series because if I'm Milwaukee, I'm trying to handle business as quickly as possible. And with a win like tonight, you give the Pacers some hope. Now we go back to Indiana. Now we have a chance to really take a hold of this series. And listen, Dame played very well in this game, but at the same time, you don't have an answer for Pascal Siakam. The way that Indiana is just knocking down 3-pointers tonight, it's going to get to a point where now the Indiana Pacers, although this is their first test of basketball, they're going to be playing with some. When you're young and you have this type of confidence, it continues to spiral into greater and better things. So if I'm Milwaukee, I'm looking for Giannis to come back so we can really shut the door on this series. Because after game 1, I kind of felt like we all were consensus. Yeah, this one could be over in 5, at most 6 games. And this is without Giannis Antetokounmpo. And when we came into this series, we were like, hey, without Giannis, this could be a hard-fought 7. But the way they, you can't really judge a series off game 1. But that's kind of what we did. We got caught in the moment because Indiana just didn't look up to it. And, of course, Halliburton did struggle. And even though Halliburton wasn't the greatest player tonight, again, double-double, but Pascal Siakam can go out there and he can ball the hell out. So I'm looking at the Indiana Pacers. And I'm wondering, I shouldn't doubt their offense because, again, they've been one of the most efficient offenses, not just this season, but of course, when it comes down to basketball nowadays, one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history. But is it going to be sustainable? Are you going to continue this trend that you showed in game 2 as opposed to game 1? And honestly, going into Indiana, I feel confident in their offense. I still worry about that defense.
Go ahead, Dels.
Is the whole Damian Lillard experience, is that the Pacers figuring him out in the second half? Or is that just an older player who has to take on this insane offensive load in the first half and be the entire offense in the second half is kind of just not as efficient because he's like 34 years old?
This game happened on NBA TV, brother. You're gonna have to wait till tomorrow for my answer.
I'm fucking crying.
Because at least in the first game, it felt like it was more that Dame just didn't have the same type of energy. In this game, also, to be fair, I mean, in the fourth quarter, it kind of became a blowout. Like it was a 20-point game halfway through the fourth quarter. For low-key, game 1-2 kind of came a blowout on the Bucks side. But I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series. Not having Giannis, and the initial prognosis was 2 to 4 weeks. I think we're around that 2-week mark, I want to say, at least from his initial injury, which was around the second or third to last game of the regular season. But I don't think you could bring him back just yet for game 3. I do think you see how that goes in Indiana. If you go down 2-1, then game 4 becomes a real question there. Because if you go down 3-1, you're really fighting an uphill battle. And if you win and go up 2-1, you buy yourself a little more time. I still don't fully believe in this Pacers offense. Like, I know Drew mentioned that historic offense, one of the best offenses in NBA history. I still don't completely believe it just because Pascal Siakam's been great. Tyrese Haliburton, especially in this game, the first 2 games really has not been that great. I just don't know how long this run could last with Pascal Siakam just going in and dominating. I think against Milwaukee Bucks, he's been able to show that he could dominate in this matchup. But in terms of like a actual sustained run from the Indiana Pacers, I don't know if they could keep up this level of offense like they showed today, scoring 125 points, Pascal back-to-back games. I believe, or unless Luka just passed it in this past game, but he had the most points of any playoff player game 1 and game 2. He's just been playing absolutely incredible. But as Drew mentioned, the defense, I think, ultimately caps this team. But it was good to see some of the adjustments that Rick Carlisle made. I think obviously shrinking down the bench, not putting Doug McDermott out there, playing 8 guys instead of 10 or 11, whatever he had in game 1, which everyone was asking for. So 1-1, we have ourselves a series, and Indiana going back home court, we saw the type of advantage that could have in the regular season. We saw the type of energy that building brought in the in-season tournament as well. So I'm excited to see what that arena is going to be looking like. But I'm expecting no Giannis again, and I'm expecting a win for the Pacers in game 3.
I'm definitely
Why'd you take the glasses off for him?
Because I'm about to hate. I'm about to hate so hard. First of all, to talk about Milwaukee, I do want Giannis to come back pretty quick. I think Dame. I think it's a mixture of Rick Carlisle making some cool adjustments, but Dame just kind of being lackadaisical in the second half. I think if you have a type of heater like that, the veteran player he is, the guy that's been in the playoffs, I don't think a defense with little to no personnel should just be able to completely shut you down like that. But I also think the other guys aren't helping him out too much. I do like Indiana's offense, though. I like how fluid it is. I like the way they move the ball. I like how fast they get out in transition. It helps all their players. Pascal Siakam has been their best player. He's been hooping, and like Joel mentioned, Giannis is not playing right now. This is the time to eat up. Whoa, that was a little crazy. But
goodness, River Brown.
This is the time to kill. But if Giannis comes back, that kind of puts Siakam in the box, which means another guy's gonna have to step up. And that guy just listen. I said this before. I'll say it again. The creation is a little muddy. The bag, the toolbox isn't there. The jumper is cool and all. I don't care about that hamstring injury no more. It's been 3 months. He hasn't been good. Hasn't looked good. The offense isn't there. Against this Bucks defense, you should be having a field day. And he has not lived that. He's made some good passes. He made some nice little cool, you open to the left. I'm going to just throw it over here.
Making the right reads, right?
He's making the right reads. That's cool, I guess, for a point guard. But I do feel like when Giannis comes back, all jokes aside, I do think Hallie's going to have to step his game up to another level because I think that pairing, Siakam has been matching Dame, and I think that's been dope. But when Giannis comes back, that's 35, 40, and 20. Like that's a whole different beast that Indiana just doesn't have the personnel for. And if Mr. Assist,
I think we lost Riv here.
When you try to put a generational, there you go, Riv. Say that again.
Uh-huh.
Say after assists.
Oh, it just I need him to score more than 20 points. Like, show me that generational stuff you were showing me in the in-season tournament. We've been waiting for that. It's been a long
Yo,
time.
they're actually talking about it in the chat. Honest question: Lonzo Ball or Tyrese Halliburton? Who would you rather?
Oh, that's tough.
Don't be an idiot, bro.
I think the idiot part would be taking Hallie.
Listen, you get elite defense.
No, I'll take Hallie. I'll take Hallie. That's too far. That's too far.
Healthy Lonzo.
I don't even know what that means anymore.
RIP, man.
The thing is with
Pascal was a starter worse +6. Damn, everyone else was better.
The thing with Halliburton is that I don't think he's not the most shifty player. Like, that's not his game.
Joel, we're down with plus minus.
I guess I don't know.
It's a stupid stat. It really is stupid.
He's not as shifty as someone like Darius Garland. Darius Garland is more shiftier than him. The advantage that Tyrese Halliburton has is his shooting ability. That's what the advantage he has is.
Oh my God.
No, I don't think so.
I believe so.
If you looked at his assist today, he was playmaking. He was creating.
Have you ever looked at TJ McConnell when he's out?
TJ McConnell plays well, but he's not Tyrese.
I'm just saying, like, the offense is grooving.
When he suffered his left hamstring strain in January, that's when his 3-point shooting started to go down. Post All-Star break, he's shooting 30% from 3. Before the All-Star break, he's at 40%. That 10% difference is a pretty drastic difference. And just based on what Halliburton has shown me throughout his career, he's a 40% 3-point shooter. That's what he is. And he's gonna take like 9 threes a game. That's his game. But if he doesn't have his legs under him fully and he's not making them at the clip he was making them before, the scoring is gonna drop, even with the lack of drives and creation that I think he actually improved that a lot since he's gotten to Indiana.
It's tough, man.
I'm glad somebody put those stats in. Listen,
but even those stats, even the stats you want to laugh at, 17, 10, and 4 after the All-Star break, those are Darius Garland season averages.
No, Darius Garland season averages are 21 and 9, but it's not about him. It's not about him. It's about the fact that you were calling him a superstar, and now you want to give him passes.
I don't know how much
Garland averaged 18 and 6
this year. Yes,
bro just pulled out 21 and 9 out of nowhere.
No, that was 2 seasons. Yeah, last season.
Last year and the year before that. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep up with the game, dude. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, of course. Why would I
not?
But your brother, that hit him average January.
Nah, I'll be honest. I don't know how much longer we can hold on to it, man.
We gotta let it go.
When he's healthy, when he gets back healthy, he's
playing for the USA team. Clearly, he's okay enough to do that. That is this summer, bro.
Bro, what
are we doing?
When you have a hamstring injury, you don't get surgery for it. It's not like you get surgery for it.
I understand.
You get rest for it.
We've seen.
He had off.
He didn't have that much off though. He came back because of the 65 game rule, because obviously you're incentivized to play those games to get a huge amount of money on your contract or your next contract.
Didn't he just get paid?
Yeah, but that's for the next deal. You have to make an All NBA team, and you have to
do it every season.
I don't think so.
It's not every season.
You have to do it at least. You have to do it. I think you have to do it at least one of the seasons. But with Halliburton,
the previous 2.
After the season ends, because Indiana, they're either going to get eliminated now or next round, right?
Yeah.
He's going to have 2 months off before Team USA. So he's going to have time to get his hamstring back. Right now, he's in the midst of the season and he's still playing. So it's not like a hamstring is something you get surgery for and you come back. He's going to rest before Team USA.
Here's the thing with Hallie. Unfortunately, this is not a just 1 year thing. He's been injured for a good amount of time on back-to-back seasons. This is starting to become a trend with him where he's getting injured, and it's affecting his play. And unfortunately, it's affecting his play where now he came back a little too early. He wanted to get his money. I'm all for going to get your bag. You want to go make your money. I understand that. But now it's affecting your play in terms of now, you're into the playoffs. You're trying to play with it. I don't know. He looks fine to me in the sense of he's running up and down the court. He's still very active. he's still getting that jumper. He just isn't like I feel like genuinely he just doesn't have enough moves in his box to create other shots. Like once you figure out the 3-point shooting, he can't really do anything else. That's just how I feel. And it's been
That's
that
huge
way.
though. If he's not shooting as efficiently from 3 as he was before, that's huge. I mean, that's at least
Yeah.
like if you're hitting 2 of those threes, that's like a 6-point per game jump you're making and hitting your threes. So I think that, I want him to shoot better, and I think he should be more aggressive. I think he should be.
He shot 3 for 7 from 3, but 4 for 10 from the field. He's just not getting his attempts up.
But I think when Giannis comes back, that's the real moment where I'm like, okay, now the pressure's on you because Pascal is going to have somebody that's able to guard him. But at least for game 2, he had 12 and 12. You see that Pascal is playing really well. You're going to keep going to Pascal. So
do y'all know if the 2 to 4 week time frame from Giannis was from the day of his injury or from when Shams announced that like 4 days ago?
I think it was the day of his injury.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
That means there's a chance Giannis comes back this series. I know he was doubtful for this game.
They said
Probably
he
doubtful
could be
game 4.
back by game 3 or game 4.
Okay.
So
It's been 15 days according to the People's Mix, 2 weeks.
What was the injury again?
Calf.
Yeah.
Predictions for tomorrow's game. OKC versus Pels, Heat versus Celtics. What do we got?
OKC and the Heat.
I think we see OKC play their best brand of basketball. I still think the Pels can play well, but I think OKC should win that game, and we'll see them play better than they did game 1. And you said Heat? You're taking the Heat?
Trolling.
Yeah.
I pray to God Boston fumbles, though.
OKC in Boston. You saw game 1, brother. Come on.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I'm definitely praying on it for sure. OKC, though, I hope SGA figures out that little defense they got. He was in the box a little bit. So I hope game 2 he comes out and he puts on a performance because we need 30-point games.
Last thing, and then we can go. For the Pelicans, do you think they trade BI and they have Herb Jones and Trey Murphy as their starting wings?
That'd be dope.
Who they trading BI for?
That's the question.
Point guard.
Point guard for sure. It'd have to be a point guard.
CJ has to go too. It's time.
I'm not against that.
Wait, so that means you're starting Trey Murphy as shooting guard essentially.
Or the 3. You can put Herb at the 2.
But then with Zion, he comes back.
Yeah,
Zion plays 4.
I know, so you're gonna have to put one of those 2 at the 2 or 3.
Trey at the 2 is not the worst thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think that's bad. He's just got to up his handles.
But I'm saying is unless you're moving on from CJ, it still doesn't solve the point guard problem.
No, that's if you trade BI, it needs to be for a point guard. You get a point guard next to Trey, Herb, Zion, or a center. You trade it for a legitimate rim protector or someone that can actually stretch.
Oh boy,
he's definitely needs someone who can shoot.
Because those are the 2 holes. That's really the 2 holes for the Pelicans right now. They're still playing great brands of basketball without it.
So with Giannis, Doc Rivers told reporters that he's been able to do some light shooting and get out on the floor for walkthroughs, but hasn't been able to do anything live yet. And he still has no timetable for when he's going to return.
I'm assuming that game is on Saturday?
That was today.
That game 3 is on Saturday?
Game 3 is on Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
Friday.
Hey, is that the 5:30 game? It's pretty disrespectful.
No, it's not. We're good.
Man. Last thing I want to say before we go, this was on the Timberwolves and Suns series. I forgot to say it then. We are getting 2 things that I think are pretty important with the Timberwolves and Suns series. Number 1, the Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels clip in reference to Kevin Durant. And Anthony Edwards says, we have Jaden McDaniels. As of right now, it's looking really good. Number 2, Rudy Gobert and the slack that he's caught for years about his defense. He was just voted the most overrated player by the Athletics Anonymous Player Poll. He's having a heck of a series, and we are now seeing Rudy Gobert for the first time when he's surrounded with good defensive perimeter talent and how that can maximize Gobert. And it's starting to make him look much better in regards to it wasn't his fault for those Utah Jazz collapses defensively in the playoffs.
He's been amazing. Nothing
Rudy.
short of amazing.
And DPOY. You saw what AD said, Drew?
Oh, yeah. I'm done with him right now.
You guys play tomorrow?
We played Thursday, thank God. I get another day of rest.
Sweet.
Wow, that's crazy. Luka Doncic has 30 more playoff game. 30 more has more 30-point playoff games than 98.6% of all players in NBA history.
I believe
He's played 30 playoff games.
What a
believe
great
it.
tweet, actually.
I'll be honest. What percentage of players have never had a 30-point game? Like 95?
That number has to be really
It's
high.
like it has to be crazy high.
Drew said Luka played really well tonight.
Bro hated that tweet. He hated he had to
He
say
played really well.
That's been him every game this season, baby.
Cook.
Doncic.
I'll be honest. Dallas is your saving grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Minnesota's done now because he picked the Suns.
Are we giving him that? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean,
Phoenix is in the mud.
you can give me that if you want. You don't have
Santos,
to
what do
give
you
it to
say?
me. It doesn't matter.
Don't give him that.
Santos
Say less.
spoke.
Santos
Santos spoke.
It doesn't matter.
Hallie's in the mud.
Santos knows that when he's asked me to get a jersey for me, I've always told him Anthony Edwards.
You should have
That's the
stuck
one
to your
guy
guns.
for
You
this
should have picked Minnesota. I
It
thought we were
shocked
gonna
all
beat
of us
Pop.
that you went with Phoenix. It really did.
It
You
did.
went with the Rams over the Lions.
And that didn't shock anyone.
It did it.
Yeah, but the Lions were your team all year, and you went with the Rams.
But for the weeks coming up into that game, I did not feel great about the Lions.
so you lost your Lions card then.
I did.
So coming into this season,
Fine.
the Lions aren't one of your teams.
No, I'm in.
Oh,
Nah,
you guys- he's
Joel, I'll
Bears
be
guy
honest,
too.
I thought like going in, that was the one series I had no doubt in my mind you were picking Minnesota. I really
Me
thought
too.
you were gonna ride the wave and say, "Fuck it, we're here."
No, I was pretty torn on who I wanted to pick. It was a hard decision for me to make.
Did
What
you
did
let
Jess do to you, man?
Yeah, you let Jess.
What did Jess do to
let
you?
It's
I
not
saw-
Jess.
said
She's
Devin
not-
Booker. Devin Booker's the most overrated player in the league.
Yeah,
She said he's not that guy. She said he's not that guy.
She does not
Oh,
fuck
shit.
with Devin Booker right
She's
now.
not a delusional Suns fan. She
Okay.
really hasn't been high on the Suns all year long, but in the regular season, it looked like the Suns, it would be a better matchup. We'll see what happens
They
game
kicked the
3.
Wolves' ass in the regular season.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in game 3. That's why I felt good about it. But
Gotta
hey,
call like an IG model picks.
I'm not gonna be upset if the Wolves win.
No, yeah, you definitely shouldn't be.
I'm not gonna be upset if Anthony Edwards gets out the first round because listen, it's either Edwards advances or he gets out in the first round. And that's something I gotta hear for a year. So it don't matter.
Oh no, you don't have to hit his KD slander though. This gonna come back. This always.
It doesn't matter though. I feel like with KD, he's already made. I feel like at this point, it's like whatever. But if KD leaves Phoenix, a team that should come calling, the New York Knicks.
He's
He's
leaving.
gonna have another stop.
Wow.
Listen,
Another trade demand.
listen. Kevin Durant will have one more stop before his career ends. That will be the stop that makes or breaks his reputation when he retires.
Another stop that makes or breaks his
He's
reputation.
coming to LA. Don't worry, guys.
Because it's gonna be the Knicks with them role players. Oh, come on.
I wouldn't even be mad if he went to New York, honestly.
He should have did it in 2019, but he
They'll find
allowed
a
us
way
to
to
build.
I wouldn't want to go to New York if I was
came back on the back around. You know what I'm
If you
saying?
were
Going to go to
him-
New York, have Jalen Brunson and not make the finals. That would suck.
Jalen Brunson's been stinking it the hell up.
Joel, they're gonna take you guys to 6, maybe 7 games with Jalen Brunson as their one. Show
If
some
Jalen
respect.
plays like that, no, they don't.
No, agreed.
That's
Agreed.
4 games. I'm not even trolling.
Brunson's gonna play better though.
I
He
hope so.
is.
Because if he plays like this, Boston is beating them in 4
Let him
hard
cook
games.
2 games. That's it. It's 2 games.
Boston has a better defense than Philly. I'm scared.
No, understandable.
Getting locked
Wasn't
up, I can't
expecting
believe
this
that.
Brunson. I was expecting Brunson that we've seen for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But that's gonna do it for game 2 recaps. Next time we'll be live. We'll be on Thursday night on Playback. Make sure to hit that link in the description to subscribe to the Playback. It's very easy to create an account. It's gonna take like 15 seconds max, but this will be on YouTube as well. So make sure you guys subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.